Thank you for joining us for another amazing episode of Executive Insights, where every week we answer 4 business questions.
3 from various levels of your business journey, and 1 personal question as a business owner.
This week, without further ado, we're talking about scaling without sinking, managing growth, systems, hiring, and operations. I'll be your host, Gervais Nelson, CEO of VaseTime, as well as the founder of the VaseTime Foundation, alongside my amazing co-hosts.
Hey everyone, I am Marie Rose, CEO of Rosebud Studios and founder of Rose Petals to Success.
With that, we're going to jump right into it. The first question is for our aspiring entrepreneurs thinking about starting a business. Come on in. Here's some free game that will get you started. Can you share a specific moment early on when you put a system, process, or mindset in place that later made scaling easier, even before your business had steady revenue?
So for me, I'm just going to say back to my VR. When I put my VR on, my virtual assistant, virtual reality. VA. So I'm going to go back.
I'm not too. VR.
My virtual assistant, we put our contracts in place. Back then, I didn't have steady revenue, but DocuSign was what I could afford. I'm sure there's free options out there, but DocuSign is what I knew, and it was the most user-friendly software at the time. Once I started doing that and doing the invoice, simple invoices is what it's called. It is free. It made scaling easier. Yes, it did, because now I had everything in black and white. I was able to speak on the business, speak on the policy, speak on our payment process and our procedures, because it was the same for every customer. All of our pricing and everything was in order, so it did make scaling easier.
You went with the system, the process, so I'll go with the mindset. Mindset for me was when I learned that my job wasn't loyal, and I realized that no one was coming to save me in this world. And that kind of put me in a different mental space, like, I gotta go get it. Once you realize that no one's coming to help you, no one's coming to save you, it does something to you and puts you in a new gear that makes you overcome anything, and no just isn't an answer. So that helped me scale in a lot of ways, because anytime I felt stuck, I just realized I just had to go another gear to get it. Like, no just isn't an answer. I'm very prideful, I'm very stubborn at times, and I just refuse to be told no. I won't give people the satisfaction of seeing me fail. And I felt like when my job lost its loyalty to me, I kind of lost trust and help financially. So I just kind of went into another lane, another gear of getting it. Once I realized that, like most people, it was my side hustle. So when I realized the 9 to 5 wasn't there and it wasn't a blanket anymore, it just shifted in a whole nother lane. That's when everything took off, because it was just all in. So I think mentally it just changed. Question number 2 is, tell us about a real situation where growth opportunities came faster than you expected. How did you decide which one to pursue and which one to decline, and what was the outcome? For me, this one's easy for me. It was when we did the Tinseltown Comcast thing, when we first got that. I know I chased it down, I know I wanted it, and I wanted to be a part of it because I'm South Philly, I'm from South Philly, so I just wanted to be a part of it somehow. But I didn't realize how big it was. And I didn't realize, like, oh my God, what it was going to take for me to do it. So I was used to, up to that point, I was used to getting, that third down, that 50% down, the material fees covered. And when you're doing commercial contracts, for the most part, they don't give you deposits. They don't give you anything. It's just a net 30, net 60, net 90, which means you get paid 30 days after completion, 60 days after completion, 90 days after completion. But when you take on a project that large, you got labor costs, you got material costs, you got equipment fees, and all this stuff. So honestly, it almost put me really close to a big hole that I wasn't willing to climb out of. And then I started going to banks. And I started doing, all right, you can bootstrap it, but you're gonna be broke. So it's like, that wasn't really an option. So go to your local CDCs. I found a woman by the name of Michelle Feldman who connected me with Entrepreneur Works. And thanks to them, I was able to get a 50-50, 50-20, I was able to get half a grant, half a loan. And that provided me the capital that I needed to do the job comfortably. So once you took the money off the table, then it just became about the work. And that made it easy, because it was like, I'm not thinking about, oh my goodness, where am I going to get this money from to do this job? I had the money to do the job. Now it's just executing the work flawlessly. And it happened, and it all ran smooth, and I was very thankful for the situation. But that came much faster than I anticipated. That was one of my first real commercial jobs. I had did some small commercial jobs, but that was my first big commercial job, and it came really, really fast.
Well, even though this says 0 to 2 years, honestly, my timeline for things are a little different because I developed the businesses during different times in my journey. For me, I could just think of, honestly, a time when I took the business to another level, because for me that was like taking me back to the beginning. And I remember it's now probably a year and a half ago, I had so many different opportunities coming at me at one time because I was determined to network. And I put myself out there and I networked. I wanted to just find a community that I could be a part of, that I could learn and be educated from. And with doing that, I learned now that not every room is where you need to go at one time. But at that time, for me it was, I'm gonna get in every room. And that is exhausting for a trained extrovert, right? Because you train yourself to be out there and shake hands and have these conversations, but it's exhausting. And you have to follow up with all of these opportunities or these relationships that you obtain through this networking. And at that time, I was doing 3 events a week. Opportunities were coming, and I just had to select at that point what I could do at the time and what I could accept and what I could handle. And I dropped the ball on probably a couple of them that I'd be like, dang, right now I'm saying I wasn't ready. And the ones that I did take advantage of, I wasn't ready to really put my all into that opportunity. So I didn't get the most out of it like I could have. Don't try to overdo it, because if I got to throw out 100 business cards to get 2 responses, that's not always the thing, because if you get 40 responses, 30 responses, 20, that's too much to respond to. So just try to do a few and let time go. People know people, and it's just about building relationships
Organically. Question number 3 is, think back to a time your business scaled too quickly. What was the hardest lesson from that experience, and how did you recover or adjust to get back on track?
Okay, I can take it back to my event space. My events was booming. I didn't know how I was going to control the amount of influx, and so I started hiring staff. And I went from 1 person, which is me, to about 3 to 11 people, because to me, this was realistic. I could manage 3 events a day, 3 days a week, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in a weekend. We doing 9 events in a weekend. I could handle that. But the people, my staff,
That's a lot of personalities.
That means you had to have shifts, and it flopped. And when I say it flopped, my events were still coming in, but the customer service was not as highly rated. The experience was not as good, because I had to actually see all these people. I had to make sure they were doing their jobs. And I wasn't able to pay attention to the things that were my core, what I always focused on and I took pride in, was the small details. So I went from 1, 3, 11 to 1, 2. And it was so hard for me to do, because at this point, these are people's lives. Like, you're paying them. Part is when my business scaled so fast, and then my reaction to it was hire staff.
Right.
Like, I just did a whole quick hire staff, and I went short in other ways.
Similar, in a sense. Started being more recognized for the business that we do in the commercial landscape and residential space. But when you start doing the commercial properties, people ask, do you still do residential? It's like, yeah. So more residential started picking up at a fast pace. And it was like, okay, well, people were falling through the cracks a little bit, and I hate that. Once it didn't fall through the cracks with me calling them, the follow-up. That's something that I pride myself on. I love to follow up on a job to see how things are going. And because I was doing it in like Excel, I would do like 2 jobs a day, 3 jobs a day. I'm going to forget to put one of them by the time I go home and go to sleep. And then if there's more jobs the next day, it's like, all right, I'll get to it on Sunday. It never makes it in the QuickBooks. It never makes it at the time I was using Excel. And it just, the data would never add up, so I would just miss people. So all my payments were like on credit cards or through your invoicing. And you get all the customer CRM information that pulls over. So that syncs with another system so that it sends me notifications that's automated to say follow up with this person, this person, this person, this person. So I not only do I have the job, I have the date, I have the person, and I can pull my notes and say, okay, this was the Rose job, this was the weed removal job, this was this job. So now I have specific things that I'm like, all right, cool, I got it. And I have a list now, and every 14 days it runs a report and sends me the report. And I personally will call each of those people to give it just that personal touch. And that's something that I've always done, but that was something that as you gain more business, it goes from, it's easy to follow up on 3 people. You can call 3 people and say, hey, Ms. Johnson, how's it going? How's this job? But when you start to do 15 jobs in a week, 20 jobs in a week, Ms. Johnson falls through the cracks. I mean, you ain't even thinking about Ms. Johnson right now, because you got 15 more next week, maybe even 25. So you just lining all these jobs up, and Ms. Johnson was really sweet and spent probably her hair and nails money with you for the, just to make a sacrifice to make sure not only does her nails and hair look nice, but that her front looks nice, her curb appeal looks nice. I mean, landscape's not it's not a necessity. You know what I mean? It's a want. It's not a need. So when people take that time, that energy, and that money out of their pocket from something that they wanted to do and spend it with me, I take that very personal.
Yeah.
So I like to give them a personal touch and let them know that I appreciate you just as much as you appreciate the work I did for you. And like I said, when you're doing 20, 25 in a week, Ms. Johnson just don't get that phone call no more. So with that system put in place, Ms. Johnson always gets that phone call now. Our bonus question. Question number 4, our moment of transparency, our personal question, if you will, the highs and the lows of business ownership. Describe a moment during expansion when you personally felt overwhelmed. What did you do practically and emotionally to manage the pressure as an opportunity rather than a burden? Touching back on what I was just talking about. On that same growth portion, when the commercial started growing, it was, how do I manage these commercial projects? Because the commercial ones, let's be honest, they are the ones that keep the growth. They're the ones that keep the company rolling. That's the one that allows the company to grow. You can't, like you just said, you like that face-to-face. Well, I can't not be present on the big commercial jobs. I have to be present for that one. Comcast needs to see my face. The residential deadlines with quality. I think that was when I felt the most overwhelmed, because sometimes a commercial project can take 7 days, 14 days, 15 days to complete. Well, in that time period, you got Ms. Johnson that's been with you since 2018. She's every 2 weeks. She's every week, every month, once a month. You want to tell her, I'm not going to be there this week. You still got those deadlines to meet. And she's a sweetheart, so you can tell her, like, hey, I'll be there instead of Wednesday, I'll be there Friday. But now you got to show face. It got to be done with quality. You can't rush her. You can't take a 2-hour job and make it in 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So I think that's when I felt probably the most overwhelmed, personally, was just like, I'm managing projects. I'm doing these small job residential ones. So what I came up with was, and this is a good cheat code, I don't know if I should be giving this one away. With my commercial projects, I'm the face of my projects through and through, up to the day, up to the minute. I'm in the rooms, I'm in the meetings. Once the jobs get started, I show up on the first day, and I'll periodically show up throughout the day, on some days, and I'm there at the end for the closing. Every job in between, I take care of all the small residentials myself. That way I can ensure the quality gets met. I'll check in periodically throughout the day. I'll bring the guys some water, bring the guys some food, make sure they're all good, and keep them on together in group. Not everybody going Wawa, this guy going 7-Eleven, this guy going, stay here, let's knock it out, let's stay on task, let's do what we gotta do. And that's just something I viewed as an opportunity. I guess what I'm saying is I entrusted my people, which is very, very hard. Very hard, especially when you're big on quality and service. I had to stop being hands-on, and I took my fingers off, and I allowed the guys to do what they do best.
I had to read this question like so many times.
I know.
I kept looking down, so if y'all see me looking down, it's because I'm reading the question like 5 times. Because this one was like so bulky, like it was a lot in it, and I had to, this topic alone is so, the questions ask you about being overwhelmed, and these questions are overwhelming. Like, it's bringing me back to the moments and all the emotions and things like that I went through through business that made me overwhelmed. Like when we get through these trials, we tend to put them on the back end and say, I learned the lesson, I won't go back here. So these
And that's why
questions,
it's question number 4.
yes, are pulling that back out of us. And so for me, during expansion, when I felt overwhelmed, I am literally overwhelmed in every expansion that I do. And for me, I'm expanding into more buildings. So every time that I get into a new building, I'm just like, this is a great deal. Oh my gosh, this was amazing. And then I'm here and I'm on a time limit because no matter what I do, once I sign the lease, I got 30 days before another payment is due and bills start coming in and I still got furniture and I got all these things to do. So with me, my buildings don't make money until I get customers and clients in the buildings. It's one thing to secure a space, it's another thing to secure it, then get the people in. I understand the process and I've gotten better with the process each time, but at the same time, I've gotten bigger each time. It still is a process. There's never going to be a time when I could just do it with my eyes closed. I think anybody, even these owners of these big franchises, they do the same thing. It's a process and no expansion is perfect no matter how many times you do it. So even though this advice is from me and Jovace's experience and you may be able to relate to it, we highly recommend that you utilize us as your social equity and you contact us for one-on-one so that we can make sure the advice applies specifically to your niche and your business. You can reach out to me, like I said, CEO Marie Rose or Jovace.
All right. Any final words, shout outs, or plugs before we close?
Not on my side.
Is that my cue?
That is definitely your cue.
So before we started recording today, I was checking my emails and I just discovered we are the 2025 Metro Philly's Best Landscape Company. Repeated
so
back
excited.
for 2024.
So excited.
So we won again in 2025. So
Congratulations.
thank you. Very high honor. We won't let you down. We'll continue to do great work. We won't lose our service. We won't lose our quality. We'll keep giving you the same quality, only better. So thank you very much.
Because we got systems in place.
We do have systems in place, so it's only getting better.
Yes.
It is only
So
getting
happy
better.
for you.
Thank you. Just want to thank you for tuning in. You can follow us on Instagram at executiveinsights_.
And the views are up, y'all. So we so excited. Y'all ran it up for Jovace's birthday. Are you done with your 7 days yet?
I think it's still my birthday until next week.
Okay, so now listen, y'all gotta run it up. Run it up because he's still celebrating. I'm so excited to see what our views are, so keep sharing our insights, executive insights.
Stay inspired, never stop creating.
See y'all.